Okay, in this video, in the next however many minutes I record this video for, I'm going to share with you exactly how to data your way to 50K per month with your agency. Like literally no guesswork, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, your way to 50K a month like there's no tomorrow, okay? And that's because we're going to figure out how to scale your agency there by figuring out what the problem is. Now here's the deal. Most people I work with, when I ask them what's the problem, they don't even know. And if they do know, they're like, oh, I don't have enough clients. Well, no shit, Sherlock. If you had enough clients, you'd be at 50K a month, right? That's like someone saying, hey, Stefan, why don't you have $10 million in your bank account? It's like, oh, because I don't have 10 mil. It's like, oh, yeah, fair enough. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, you idiot? Okay? That's not how it works. If someone asks you what's wrong with their business and you can't give them like, yeah, so our CAC is this, and our LTV is this, and as a byproduct of our ads having this link CTR, we only get this many leads with this budget, and so therefore with the budget running it now and the cost per book call we're getting, it would take us approximately 6 months to hit our goal, assuming that we don't upsell. So what we're going to do is add an upsell mechanism, and then by that time we'll be able to get a 50K a month. Like if someone says that, you know they're on the ball. Here's the problem, is most people don't even know what's going on in their business. Okay, and this is the equivalent, before I get into this is like what most people's biggest problem is they have a car, okay, and they're driving their car, okay, this is their car, they're driving their car with no dashboard, no odometer, no map, and a blindfold on. Okay, and so while it may feel like they're moving somewhere, eventually they're going to crash because they have no idea where they're going. And this is most people. Most people run an agency with a fucking blindfold on. They have no idea what's happening. They have no idea where they're going. They feel like they're moving because they're doing stuff on a day-to-day basis, but they're not actually getting anywhere. Why? Because they got a blindfold on with no map. Okay, and what I mean by that is they don't have data. They don't have actual data-backed information as to why their things are or are not working. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you not only how to collect data, but what data to collect, and then how to use that data to make decisions on what to do moving forward. Okay, so let's dive into this. And I will also give you this entire blueprint after. Okay, so within your agency, okay, within your SMMA, social media marketing agency, okay, there's really only 3 compartments. Really only 3, which is marketing, sales, and delivery / clients, right? That's really all there is. Marketing is composed of like ads, cold calling, offer, etc. Okay, sales, pretty damn simple, is sales, right? So like shows, maybe your indoctrination sequence, etc. Right, and a couple other things, and then delivery, right? So this really comes down to like your results, your product, okay, your LTV, and CAC actually really goes in sales, but we'll just put it into clients for now, etc., etc. And so within all of these buckets, there's different metrics we want to track, right? In marketing, you want to first track the outreach channel you're doing, and let's say if it's ads, there's a few metrics you want to track. And so for example, this would be things like link CTR, right? CTR all, right? CPL, right? Cost, let's see, cost per book call, and the most important one, CPA, cost per acquisition, etc., right? And we want to track all these metrics to let us know how effective our marketing is. Okay, with sales, right? Some of the metrics you'd be want to tracking outside of your indoctrination sequence, etc., is your show up rate, right? It's your qualified rate, how many people that you hop on the call are actually qualified. It's your offer rates, so out of all the people that hop on the call, how many to make an offer to. It's your close rate, etc., right? And with all this data, you start to be able to figure out what's actually wrong with your sales. So if I talk to someone, they say, oh, my problem is clients. I'll say, well, explain more. Well, I just can't sell. Okay, well, what do you mean? Is it that you're not getting enough shows? Is it that you're not getting enough qualified shows? Is it that you're not making enough offers? Is it that you're not closing on your offers? Is it that your follow-ups suck? Where is the actual bottleneck? And most people are like, I don't know, I'm not closing. Well, how are you going to expect to fix the problem that you don't even know what the problem is in the first place? Right? That's like you going to the doc and saying, hey doc, my head hurts. And then without any more information, he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions, but let's try and figure out what's wrong. And let's just give you different medications until something works. Like, no, he's going to try and figure out what the root of the problem is. What's actually the root of the problem? What is causing the issue, hence all the questions, etc. Once you find out what's causing the issue, then he can give you the adequate pill, right? This is your pill, and you take the pill and you feel better and you're happy. Woohoo! Okay, so similarly in business, we have to figure out, okay, what is the root of the problem? What's actually causing us to have all these bad problems in the first place? Okay, and this is why we need to track data. This isn't even a master data tracker. There's, like, as you can see, if you really, really want to get into this, you should be tracking everything. So you'll have 3 sections in your data tracker. You'll have marketing, sales, and delivery. And in those 3 columns, you should have boxes for all of these, right? So let's say if you're doing ads, right? Link CTR, CTRL, CPL, cost per book call, CPA, conversion rate, right? So your landing page conversion rate, etc., etc. Right? And then in your sales, right? Under your sales column, you would have, how many calls were scheduled today? How many prospects did you call to confirm? How many calls were taken? Of those, how many were qualified? And then of the qualified, here's you want to do one more thing. Whoops. To the right. Number pitched. Of the people that were qualified, how many did you pitch? Right? So, there's 2 qualified. We pitched 2. We closed 1. Okay, so we would know that per qualified, we have a 50% show up rate. Per calls taken, we have a 33% closing rate, right? And so you start to see how much data you have. Wow, there were 7 calls today. We called 6 of them, 3 showed. So imagine if we had called 7 of them. Oh, maybe, 4 would have showed, right? And out of those 4, maybe 4 would have been qualified. We only pitched 3, I'd ask you why, and you close 2. Well, now you can see that your close to qualify rate is 50%, et cetera, et cetera. You start to get the gist, right, of the data you start to get here, okay? You can also even add in here, out of the call scheduled today, how many watched the pre-call VSL. Like, there's so much stuff you can add here to figure out what's really wrong, right? There's so much stuff that we can start to add into this, okay? But the point is, we need to have something like this to track it all, because otherwise, and we'll talk about what to do. Like, we're really going to get into this, right? But if you aren't tracking any of this data, you're never going to know what to fix, right? So, for example, let's just say if this is our issue, right? Let's just say this. Let's just make up some numbers here, okay? Let's just make up some numbers. Imagine if this was your data, right? If someone showed me this, I would know right away why they're not making sales. Right? They're not getting any showed calls because they're not confirming anything with their prospects. Therefore, their show up rate sucks. Cool. Let's go fix your entire show up rate. Let's go through your indoctrination sequence. Let's go through everything you do to make them show. Let's go through your custom WhatsApp messages. Let's go through your pre-call sequences, yada, yada, yada. And we'll fix that. And we'll fix that until these numbers start to look good. And so ideally, we get something that looks like, this. Right? Boom. We fixed our show up rate. But now, we still only have 1 qualified person. Okay, now our qualified is wrong. Okay, well, why could our qualified be wrong? Well, maybe we're not qualifying on the call. Maybe we're not qualifying front end on our ads. Maybe we're not qualifying in our messaging. Maybe we'd have to figure this out. But now we know our problem isn't shows. It's not people pitched. It's qualified. It's not that we can't close. It's we're not getting enough qualified people on the call. You go fix that. Let's say you go fix that issue. Now you have 5 out of 5 are qualified and you only pitch 1. Well, I'd ask, why are you not taking control of the call? I'd have to review your calls and figure out, why are we only pitching 1 out of 5? Oh, it's because the prospects take control of the call because we don't take control of the call. Boom, let's fix that, right? You fix that. Boom, you pitch all 5, and you still close 0. Okay, your closing rate sucks. Means you probably don't know how to pitch. You probably don't know how to handle objections, okay? Because as long as your offer must be good to get this many shows, probably something to do with our objection handling. Cool, let's fix that. You fix that. Boom, you start to close 3. Awesome. Now what's the problem? And then we just go through all the data and you just find the weakest metric. What metric, and the way you figure out what metric is the weakest is by asking yourself this one very, very simple question. If I could only solve one of these metrics and it had to make my business more money and make everything else in my life easier, which one of these would I solve? And by that, you'll find there's something called the theory of constraints, which is basically the one metric, okay, the one metric that is responsible for most of the problems, right? Or simply put, in a system, right, the theory of constraints is like this system where essentially, let's say you have this funnel, and the funnel goes really, really small here, right? And then it goes like bigger out here, and it goes smaller here, okay? You get the point, and then smaller here. If you look at this, imagine this is like this is a system, Okay, there's one constraint here, there's two constraint here, and there's three constraint here. Which one would you fix first? Well, it's evident that if we can fix this constraint and make it here, it'll make everything else way easier. And so we're going to fix this constraint first, we're going to fix this one second, and this one third, because you can see the size of the constraint. Simple as that with your data, right? Which has the biggest constraint on your business? So for example, if you were getting no page views, that would be the biggest constraint, because you can't get more sales calls with no page views. So we'd have to fix this first. That's the biggest constraint. And so typically, whoops, that's a different video. Typically, you go top down. You fix from the front end first, and then you go to the back end, because the front end will have the biggest impact, right, on everything else. We digress. I hope this is kind of making sense. So let's go back to this. The point is you got to track all your metrics, right? So marketing, let's see, if you do cold calls, you would want to track metrics like this, which is calls made, pickups, pass through, people interested, meetings booked, objections. Okay. Once again, you want to track all the data, right? So you can see where is the drop off, right? So for example, if we're looking at this data, let me see, where's the drop off? Pickups, pass through, this is okay depending on the niche. From pass through to people interested, 50%. That's okay, but if I had to fix something in here, I'd probably fix this. Why can we not get more people interested, right? Because our meeting booked rate is actually pretty darn good, right? Out of 20 people, we booked 26. That's not bad, right? So once again, just to give you an example of what that looks like. Now, let's go back to this, okay? So like I said, in SMA, there's three pillars: marketing, sales, and delivery. So marketing, you would track the metrics on the front end. So if you're doing ads, I showed you what that looks like. If you're doing cold call, I showed what it looked like, cold email, etc. Right? So it's like number of emails sent, number delivered, number opened, number replied, number of people booked, etc., etc. Okay. Sales, we just talked about what you want to track for sales. Simple as this. Okay. Now we go to delivery. And so delivery is a bit harder, because typically you have to calculate delivery on a month-to-month basis, not a week-to-week, because it's hard to say like, oh, today we got our client 0 leads. Right? But you can still track it on a day-to-day basis and then average it out. So let me try and make this make some sense. So the metrics you want to track for delivery, you could argue maybe not as important as these metrics, but still important to know, right? Like, what is your success rate, right? And so like some of the metrics you could have in here is like, okay, what is your LTV? What is your program completion rate? What is your success rate? What is the average, length for someone to make their money back, right? And these are all, what is the average, time to launch a campaign, right? These are all different metrics you'd want to track based on the service that you offer, right? And then once you have a bunch of these metrics, right? So for example, let's just say it's like, okay, let's say the metrics you track are how long it takes to kick someone off, right? So from onboarding to launching, right? From launch, how long does it take to get our first result, right? How long does it take for them to make their money back? And you just calculate this per client. What is the length that this client stays? So churn, right? And then you could just do like average like cash, like how much are they paying you, etc. Right? These are some of the metrics you could track, and there's other metrics you could track, but you just want to track the key ones. All right. So the metrics I track with my clients are: when did they join, right? When did they launch their team, right? After they launch their team, when did they sign their first client? When did they get their biggest result, aka their case study? And then how often are they paying? How much are they paying? And when did they churn? Those are the metrics I track, and then I can start to see statistically, like, people that work with me. If you work with me statistically right now, if you work with me, my average client in the first 2 months makes just over $10,000 in just under 60 days. Pretty cool statistic, right? And that's because I've tracked the data on the guys I've worked with, right? So pretty cool statistic. Also statistically, the people that launch their team within the first week of working with me close their next client and close multiple clients in the next 7 days following that period, right? That's all data because I've started tracking it now. And once again, you want to track this too, so you can see like, oh wow, it takes us 2 weeks to kick off, right? The clients don't get their first result for another 2 weeks after that. And we wonder why our average churn is 1 month. It's because we're too slow here. We need to speed up the kickoff so we can get the first result quicker, so we can make them the ROI back quicker, because the ROI isn't made till month 2, let's say. Right? No wonder why we have so many people churn after 1 month. We need to shorten these. We need to make these faster so we can make them the ROI back quicker, so they don't churn after the first month because they have the money to pay for the second month. Okay. Got it. Now we know the problem, right? And so now you can fix it because you have the data. But once again, if you don't have the data, it's like driving at night with a blindfold on. You're not going to know what's going on. And so you have to start tracking the data. And so I'll put this in the video so you can get this. This is just like an example of what it would look like, right? So money spent on ads today. Let's say you spent 30 buckaroos. Out of 30 bucks, granted, obviously in Facebook ads, it tracks CTRL, etc. So you can just go look in Facebook ads for your data, right? But of that 30 bucks, you got 20 page views. Of the 20 page views, you booked 5, right? So actually, let me put this in here. Oh, my bad, right? So you booked 5. I haven't done the calculations here, but cost per book call is just 5 divided by this, right? Okay, apparently it doesn't want to work. Oh, this is a number sign. Bear with me here. My goodness gracious. There we go. Okay, well, this doesn't want to work either. Cost per book call, my bad, is this divided by this. Stefan, you fucking idiot. Is 6 buckaroos. Okay, so $6 cost per book call. Calendar conversion rate is this divided by this. So our calendar converts at 25%, right? And so we now know, like, oh, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good, right? And you would go look at your ads, and if these numbers are good, it means our ads are running good. We can scale these up, okay? And then we go look at these metrics, etc., right? And then you track your metrics over here as well and see, like, okay, what is the issue? And the cool thing is once you start tracking this data, you'll start to know really fast what's the problem with your business, right? And so you'll know right away. You just go look at each section, right? Marketing, sales, delivery. You go right away and just look at, oh, which section is performing the worst? Oh, it's our marketing. Okay, what specifically in our marketing department is performing the worst? Oh, it is the fact that, our ads get a lot of views, but they get no clicks, which would mean that your offer sucks. Cool. Now you're going to split test different offers, right? You're going to split test a few different offers until this metric is what you want it to be. And then you just go look at your data dashboard and go, okay, what's the biggest lagging indicator now, right? What's the weakest link of our team? Boom. You can just go fix that. And literally, with just doing this, you can data your way to 50K a month. Because instead of thinking about what's wrong, you just look and you objectively see, oh, what's the actual issue? Right? Now, granted, sometimes you may not know, like, oh, page views, like, there's 2 problems. You may not know what page views is supposed to be, and you may not know what to do if this is low. Okay? This is why I recommend you need to get someone who can help you out and hold your hand. Okay? So if you want me to hold your hand and consult you, right, and help you implement everything I talked about today, book a call below with me and we can chat and see if you're a good fit. And if you're not a good fit, I'll just tell you that. But I don't even care. You don't have to work with me. You can work with anyone. Okay? Just make sure the person you're working with gives you data like this, like that you can track, and also knows what to tweak when data is wrong, right? So for example, if your page views is low, or if your link CTR is low, or if your pass-through rate is low, they know how to fix that. Because otherwise it's like, what's the point? It's like, what's the point in having a map in your car if you're never going to look at the map? Like, what would be the point of that? Right? That would be like the equivalent of the car having a map feature, but the map being behind your seat. What the fuck is the point? You can't see it. It doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? That's the equivalent of tracking data but not knowing how to interpret and use the data. Right? There's only one thing I learned from school, which is not only do you have to be good at tracking the data, but you have to be good at interpreting the data and knowing what it means. If you don't know what it means, then it's useless. Okay? Very, very useless. Okay? But this whole mess of drawings and charts here is exactly how you can scale your way to 50K a month. It's just using data. Just collect the data and know what to tweak. And if you can do this by using the theory of constraints, right, which I'll even look it up to show you what this means. Theory of constraints. Don't mind my spelling. Okay. Theory of constraints is a methodology for identifying and improving the most important limiting factor in a system. Okay, so I'll even get you an example to show you what this looks like. And so, very simply put, to fix a constraint, okay, is this. You have to identify the constraint, exploit it, subordinate, elevate, and then don't stop. So fix the constraint. Right? Very, very, very simple. And what this looks like in practice is this, right? So you have a system, you put stuff into the system, you put it through the steps, you find out where the biggest bottleneck is, you alleviate this bottleneck until it's opened up, until it's bigger, and then you just go to the next bottleneck. And the thing is, there's always going to be bottlenecks. You just keep fixing and fixing and fixing. And guess what? Welcome to business. You fix and solve problems. Amazing, hey? Super, 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 super duper fun. So there you go. That is probably the best explanation I could do of how to get to 50K a month, or even how to get to 10, 20, 30K a month by using data. And once you track the data, you know what to solve. And then it just becomes a matter of you doing it. So once you know what to solve, now it's just a matter of execution, which you're an entrepreneur, you should be good at. So hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you want to work with me, click that damn button below, but only fucking apply if you have an agency that makes money. If you have an agency that does not make money, watch my free content until you make money, then hit me up. Okay, I only work with people who have an agency, who have clients, etc. So hope you enjoyed. I will leave this link below so you can copy this and tweak this as need be. Other than that, take care. I don't know what to say.